Welcome back to another episode of the Three Man Weave College Basketball Podcast. I am your host this week, Jim Root, joined as always by Kai McEwen, our ultimate producer behind the scenes, and Matthew Cox, not the ultimate producer, but he's a part of the crew. So
Deputy,
we've got
deputy
deputy
producer,
producer, sure, assistant to the regional producer. We've
lieutenant.
got, we've got a classic in-season Three Man Weave show for you today. We're going to talk a little news and notes. There are a few bits of items worth discussing, I will say. We've got that Roots Roundup. Then we've saw that three-man thoughts, a couple game previews, a couple reviews. It was a buzzer-beating week, as you can tell by the title of the episode. A lot of insanity across college hoops, both at the highest level and even a little bit further down into the mid-majors. Some really bizarre happenings that we are excited to dissect and discuss. Kai, are you ready? Are you tuned in? Are you locked in?
I'm so locked in, Jim. Yeah, there were four overtime games on Big Buzzer Beater Day. I don't even think some of those had buzzer beaters. So a lot of close games this week. A lot of hot action. Twitter clips abound.
Hot action. That's
Hot
right.
action.
There were some pretty wild overtime games last night. We're recording this Friday morning, as always, live on YouTube at 7 a.m. There was a bananas Southern Utah Tarleton State game that went to triple digits, both teams. Tennessee State and Morehead State both hit triple digits, both teams in overtime. Really great mid-major basketball, Matthew. Matt, your favorite game you watched in the last week? Going to put you on the spot here, right off the top in the intro.
Oh, I don't know. The South Alabama game was pretty sweet. I did watch that one last night because every time I got Richie Riley's on the tube, I got to tune in. Chazé Harris for 40. Um, God, what was the last? There's a bunch last weekend. Saturday had a good slate, obviously. I mean, it was just a behemoth, and this Saturday's the same thing. But I mean, last night USA was terrific.
Matt, you think that 144 lined games on Saturday qualifies as a behemoth slate? Yes,
Well,
I would
compared
tend
to
to
the
agree.
it's an itty bitty one compared to the 100. What was last weekend?
Like
150.
149, I think, last
Oh, I
week.
thought it actually touched 150.
I
Maybe it
can't
didn't.
remember. I
Just
don't think
short
so.
of.
I'm gonna count them right now, Kai, one by
I
one.
think it's
Let's all
149.
stand by
Yeah.
and wait while I do that. Okay.
Good podcasting.
Yeah. But
One,
speaking of Saturday,
two.
Matt, always be plugging. We've got our Three Man Weave Best Bet show coming to you live at 10 a.m. Central on our YouTube channel. We'll go right up to the tip off of the games at 11 a.m. Eastern, which is actually when all the games tip tomorrow. We don't have a rogue super early game, which is nice. But we'll discuss as many of the games as we can. There are some big time top shelf matchups. Florida Vandy, top of the SEC. Clemson Miami is a huge game in the ACC. St. John's Villanova in the battle to ride UConn's coattails in the Big East. So tune into that 10 a.m. on YouTube. We will be here discussing hoops with you, and you can of course submit your questions for any game on the outline or on the slate. But all right, before we get into the full episode, a shout out to JPD, aka Joe Paskov, for the opening tunes. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at 3MW_CBB. Subscribe to the pod on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, etc., wherever it is you listen to your pods. And if you do leave a review on Apple, we will read it here. And feel free to choose it as or treat it as a mailbag question. We will answer that at the end of the pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and please do subscribe to Basket Under Review, the college basketball endeavor we are a part of with Shirley Donovan and others. $10 a month gets you access to the website and the Discord. All kinds of great content there. Trilly has started trickling out his potential portal list for 2026. So if you want to get in there and see some names, I believe we have more coming soon next week as that list continues to solidify for Trilly. We've got great write-ups. The weekend watch list will be out discussing the games on Saturday and Sunday. I contribute to that. Discord, we're talking betting every day. Their transfer portal discussions, coaching carousel discussions are constantly ongoing. So if you don't like your current team situation, get in there and find out some potential names to be watching this year. I know Cincinnati fans are already tuning into several different high-level mid-major teams to scout out potential candidates. But yeah, Basket Under Review, incredible college hoops resource. We highly, highly encourage you to get in there. Only $10 a month. Click the link in the video description or the pod description. All right, let's get into Roots Roundup. Matthew, Roots Roundup, talking news and notes. But before we do, Mr. Cox, a shout out to CBB Analytics, one of our uh, digital data Bibles in the college hoops world.
That's right, Jim. CBAnalytics.com, the holy grail of college basketball data. We always like to have it up on our tabs every night when the games are going on. We got the live in-game box score feature, which enhances your game tracking ability. Already into conference play, so we have the conference filters for all performance stats, the shot chart stats as we get deeper into the year. Those contextualized slices are what I love so much about it. Love that Nick added the Q1 and Q2 combined feature, which is very useful. You kind of talk about comparing these big boy teams, how have they performed versus their actual like-kinded competition versus who are just by game merchants. I think the sample's approaching we're close to 20 games on average. So very, very useful tool. And I was just messing around this morning, Kai, with the streaks and droughts tool,
Yes.
as I find myself very frustrated sometimes backing large dogs who go large stretches without scoring points.
Mhm.
You can actually sort through who's had some of the longest stretches of dry spells. And I believe this season it was Eastern Illinois against Purdue. 10 minutes, or I'm sorry, 10 minutes in the second half. Just
Wow.
didn't score a point. So
That's a long time.
it's a long time. So I'm going to actually dive into that a little bit deeper this next week because I think there's some interesting nuggets to be gleaned from some of those like just crazy momentous in games runs, which it feels like we have seen some of those that momentum carry a much heavier weight this year. But all that aside, please, this is all good research that you can do yourself at cbbanalytics.com. Use our promo code WEAVE, WEAVE, $40 off your subscription. Thank you to Nick and team at CBB Analytics.
Well said, Matthew. Shout out to CBB Analytics. All right, key headlines, boys, over the past week. First, yesterday, we had a big one with 20 people indicted on a point shaving scandal in the sport. I think it was all games in 2023-24, but we did have four active players, most notably Kennesaw State Simeon Cottle, a 20-point a game scorer, potential conference player of the year in the ASUN, suspended indefinitely, very likely to be done with his college career, having been implicated in this. Also have Eastern Michigan's Carlos Hart, Eastern Michigan, a main character in this indictment, I will say. Delaware State's Camion Shell from his time at NCA&T, and Texas Southern's Umar Qureshi. Kai, is this like a sky is falling thing for you? I can't, I think it was David Payne Purdom from ESPN who tweeted this was like 0.002% of games from that
Right.
season. And perhaps there were a few more that weren't in the indictment. They didn't have like consistent data backed on, but it's all low mid-major schools that are already bad, have nothing to lose for the players. The players don't actually gain all that much. There's the argument that this gets caught because it's legal, which is actually probably true. So, yes, it's not a great look optically, but I'm kind of okay with like I'm not worried about this.
I'm not worried about it, Jim. To your point, yeah, the only reason they caught it is because there is legal sports betting. It's very funny looking back at some of these names and being like, oh, yeah, that team was like oddly horrible that year. And Deshaun Nelson clips are going around in DePaul, which is fantastic. Cottle, yeah, Kennesaw. I was like, Kennesaw's been really good. Oh, 24, they're actually very disappointing. Hmm, interesting. I think this is a risk whether sports betting is legal or not legal because guess what? Sports betting exists everywhere. You can bet in America, not on legal books. It's very possible. This can be done. So I think it's an unfortunate situation. You don't want this in the game, obviously, Matthew, but I don't think it's going to destroy sports betting on college basketball, and I don't think it's going to destroy the sport whatsoever.
I think it's sad for the kids. So also people say this, which I agree with. Like it, the gap in what players are making at like legit schools versus low majors. And so you got to maybe think that there's maybe some envy in some of these kids trying to chase a few extra bucks, and basically like manipulated by these guys who are pretty shady characters, convinced that they'll be fine and not be caught. Good lesson though going forward. I think we needed this. Hey, you're gonna get caught. It's very easy to see it, to spot it, and the upside financially is just so little. And so I think we'll probably see episodes again, but I think that now that it's this is what like the second big bomb that's gotten like so much notoriety. I think hopefully the awareness is going to be the good thing that comes out of this. That like, all right, let's just stop doing this. Quit talking to bookies and back alleys or guys that you don't know. Like, it's not going to go well for you. Hopefully that message gets through.
Yeah, Kai, to your point, one of the teams that was mysteriously not very good in 2024 was Tulane with like everybody
Yes,
back,
right.
and
Kevin
Kevin
Cross.
Cross was getting like $30,000 payments. Like,
Hmm.
yes, that is an amount of money, but man, it's not enough to like risk the integrity of your future and completely compromise the season, the sport, the team you're playing on. Really, really disappointing in that way. But yeah, it's just not a big enough chunk of change, and it is the kind of thing where you hope it's used as a deterrent by laying down the hammer when people like this do get caught, so that future people are like, it's not worth it. Like that little quick paycheck compared to me getting caught and getting prison time. No, thank you. I'll just have to pass on it. Yeah, I think this for people that are not really into the gambling world of college basketball, this is like a, oh my God, the sport is crashing down. I think even our guy Trilly is like kind of overreacting a little bit to it, like, oh no, this is horrendous. Like it sucks, but it's happening in like every sport. And unfortunately, college basketball is a lot more prone to it because there's so many games, there's such low levels. But with market moves and so just some of the, I don't know, ways to discover this and identify it, I do think it's going to be few and far between in the sport. And obviously, you'd like it to be zero, but I don't think full elimination is ever going to be a totally realistic possibility. But catching people is good. This is a positive start to it.
I saw Charlie Baker, and so they issued a, I'm not sure, was it a formal like response to the what's the trading commission? Because now Kalshi and Polymarket and the prediction markets like trying to kind of caution them from basically wanting them to remove all college sports and especially prohibiting them from expanding into like player props. Which if we get to player props in college on prediction market, like I think I'm sort of on the team of like we don't need player props on prediction markets for college. I think that's where you can have very easy
Especially
manipulation of
not for like
players.
mid-major stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
just
don't know.
like I think there's a line where it's like, okay, we don't need to offer that. Sorry,
Yeah,
prop kings out there that are slamming DK and FanDuel.
yeah. And th there's
I salute your journey.
one of the funny parts to come out of this is that, like, oh, they're getting $400,000 down on a Sunbelt first half spread. It's
Alan
like I know
Boston
they're
called that.
spreading
That's
it.
awesome. Good for
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
right.
oh, I think Allen's like just outright wrong. I don't think the government lied in an indictment. I think they got that down. I don't think it was one guy walking up with a wad of 450K and setting it on the Caesars sportsbook counter. I think this is spread over like 20 different
Yeah,
books
50
for,
different bookies and outs and yeah, whatever. Yes.
yeah, like
Right.
that's pretty obvious, Mr. Boston. But yeah, that should be a red alert alarm anywhere when you're seeing that kind of money flow in, even across different places. And I don't know. That's like some of the peer-to-peer stuff I think is a solution for this because if no
That's
one's
yeah.
matching the other side, then they can't get the bet down. So I don't think anyone's be like, wow, $40,000 on South Alabama first half. I better line up, take the other side, Arkansas State. That person definitely doesn't know anything. So I don't know. It's just a thought there. Let's move on. More logical news here. The transfer portal window has been moved by the NCAA competition committee. This is great. It now opens the day after the national title and is only open for 15 days. There's also some small rule changes with when it opens after a coaching change. Generally, this is great news. I'm excited about this, Kai. I don't think it's going to fix everything. There's going to be guys announcing their intention to transfer. There's going to be tampering. It's like, all right, hey, if you do enter, just know you've got a big offer from us, et cetera. There's still going to be that going on, but it should decrease the chaos notably, meaningfully, and hopefully less stress on like the Final Four coaches that don't have to be consistently recruiting as they go through their postseason run.
Now the transfer portal was open when before.
After like it initially, the first year was open at, like when the after selection Sunday, and then
Very silly.
last year I think it was after the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. So
Yes.
like Sweet 16 teams, like I think Houston Millette committed to Alabama like before they played in the Sweet 16 a couple years back.
Yes. So this is a great thing. Hey, the NCAA did a good thing. You're doing something. You have some power over something. It appears. Obviously, a good call. I like the window as well. Um, it's going to be a madhouse, and there will be tampering. You hear it all the time from from current coaches and even college football, right? It's like every single one of my players got a phone call this season from a different team. I guess it's the reality, Matt. I'd love to be able to enforce it, but it's the reality, just part of the game. I think now. I'm very glad about this window though, and especially the timing of when it opens.
Yeah, agree. I have nothing profound to add. It's obviously good. Like, let's have a clear cutoff season and then off season. Just more discrete, more separation of that is good.
Yeah, my like small hope is that this will decrease a little bit, like the impulsive, I'm mad at my coach, I'm entering the day after my season ends
Mm.
type of stuff. Like you have to take
I
three
agree.
months to fill out, or 3 weeks to fill out
Totally
the
agree.
paperwork and meet with your coach, talk about your outlook for next season. And then I also love that it's only 15 days. Like maybe this leads to a major rush of getting in, but I also, last year it was 30 days. You have a lot of time to think and like, let's just get in the portal before the end. And there still will be that, but only 2 weeks. I like that it's shorter and compressed, and guys can stay in the portal as long as they want and commit as long as they're like enrolled in the school at the new place before classes start. But generally,
Yeah.
a positive change and a positively intended change, which is good,
I,
at
I
least.
just, you're right, Jim. Like the fact that you don't, kids will enter the portal more because they've decided I want to go somewhere else and less because of they watch the dominoes play out of who's leaving, who hasn't left. Like, I just think that's where it gets so messy, right? So I just think the true impetus of your decision, you're right. You have more time to think it over. It's a more rational decision, not as reactionary. And then your decision is not based on watching an extra 2 weeks of people enter and not enter and choose to whatever. So yeah, that should be good.
Yeah, maybe it's less of the like the guys that announce they're coming back and then they see a
Right.
Power Five team
Yes.
like Lukai Patterson announce
Snip, snap, snip, snap.
I'm coming back to Charlotte. Oh wait, Minnesota needs a point guard. It's 3 weeks later. I'm going in the portal and getting a payday. So yeah, I would love to see that like all but eliminated as well. All right, injury news, fellas. Big one already asked about in our chat. Braden Huff of Gonzaga out 4 to 8 weeks with a knee injury, unannounced what it is. I don't know if it's an MCL sprain or whatever. That would be my guess. But he's out 4 to 8 weeks as of yesterday. This butts right up against the NCAA tournament. If it's 8 weeks, if it's 4 weeks, hey, cool, he's back. Can play in the WCC tournament. But this is dicey, Kai. This means a lot more maybe small ball with Grant Foster at the four, or Jalen Worley, or Ismaila Diane next to Graham Ike. Huff was a monster efficient scorer on the block, one of the best post scorers in the country. How does this affect your outlook of the Zags?
Well, it hurts their long-term national title and Final Four um, prospects, which sucks because I think I have a little money on them. In the WCC, they're going to be okay. They might drop a St. Mary's game, okay, but still plenty of talent, still the most talent in the league without him. But he is a major piece. We were very in on him this season. He's having just an incredible year, 18 points per game, something like that. Just a fantastic rebounder. He does everything. Obviously, yes, their ceiling is very much hurt by this injury. I hope he's back. I want the good players in college basketball to play all the time. Just really hoping he has a recovery, a swift recovery, Matthew.
I do too. I think defensively, it actually opens up some opportunities, especially with Sanford, Deion and some other guys. So I don't know. I think it's going to hurt a little bit. It's not going to be. I think there's a pivot opportunity here. Not to be the glass half full optimist guy, but I think there's actually a little opportunity here to kind of grow some other guys at that spot,
It changes their identity. Yeah, Matt. I
which I
think it pushes
like.
them more
I think it kind
defensively.
of worked last year to an extent down the stretch with some, but yeah, it does limit them with another just dominant score. That's what makes them so good offensively, right? They have two guys who can kill you on the block. That's just hard to defend.
Yeah, the high low between these two was like unstoppable, and now they don't have that option whatsoever. I mentioned EK and Deanna. They haven't played a single minute together per CBB Analytics this year,
Yeah, I don't
so
like
the
that
double
look.
center lineup probably not something we're going to see. But yeah, that just means Worley, Grant Foster, they're a little more switchable 1 through 4, especially if Braden Smith's not on the court as their teeny tiny point guard. Yes, could help the defense, but I think it hurts the offense more than it helps the defense. I'm a little concerned about the Zags. As Kai mentioned, long term, not so much in the WCC. They've already got the home Santa Clara win, but they still got both St. Mary's games coming up at Santa Clara, a couple tests for them as well at San Francisco. I guess they drop one or two, and that takes them out of like the one seed conversation for sure. They're already probably on the fringes of that, and another loss would be really hurtful there compared to some of the other power conference contenders. Also, Jalen Lowe for Kentucky opted to have his shoulder surgery. He's officially out for the season. I think this times up well with him potentially getting a medical red shirt based on the amount of games he's played. Kai, we will discuss Kentucky shortly, and we saw that. But man, we have also seen how important Lowe's performance has been for the Wildcats because they for some reason ignored the point guard spot outside of him. And
Yeah,
yeah, the offense is going to be really choppy and sluggish without him.
it's really bad. I think a big reason why Kentucky struggled early on was when he was hurt, and we pointed it out. And this team is not safe by any means in terms of the tournament. Like, heck, they barely got away with a win at LSU. That they had to have that one, and they got it. But this is a big deal. I'm very bearish now on the Cats. I was very bullish after Quaintance and Lowe came back, and now you take away their point guard. I still think they're going to make the tournament, but I'm thinking like that 10 seed, 9 seed, 11 seed maybe sneak into the tournament. A dangerous low seed for sure, but this just really destroys their ceiling.
Yeah, unless Aberdeen goes to a nuclear level, I think that's kind of what all you have a lot of chips in the Denzel Aberdeen thing at league guard now, which I think could be fine. But I think the Low clearly was just such a dynamic, give them another bullet in the chamber. So
I
yeah,
don't think
Quaintance is the
Aberdeen's a
key.
good option at all.
I know
Yeah,
he's definitely a step down at point, but Aberdeen's not a true point. I don't think. I think he's better as an off guy next to Low. But Quaintance coming back is the key for this team. I think they need him back and need him to play like the player we saw him show glimpses of when he's been out there.
yeah. I mean, Quain's playing really hard is a big thing for them because sometimes their other players don't play all that hard, and Quaintance has a motor that doesn't stop. I actually, I think I'm the opposite of Kai. If I'm a 1 or 2 seed and I see them as a
Oh,
seven,
you
eight,
want
nine,
them?
10 seed, I'm like, I don't. That team sucks. I'm not worried about them. I just, I don't think without Low, the offense has really any upside. Maybe the defense gets good enough with the Aberdeen Owe Diabate Quaintance combination. Like that's four pretty darn good defenders at their position, but that's just not Pope's game. It's not the staff's game to
It's
coach
a
up any
gritty
elite
team with
defense.
Quaintance. I mean, how good was Quaintance against St. John's? I mean, he was insane. Like Kentucky looked like the more physical team against St. John's, which is like one of the most physical teams in college basketball. So I
Yeah.
again, he's the key for me with this team.
I'm very curious how that develops because Quaintance came back from his
Yeah,
knee surgery, started a game, and then now has missed two with what is reportedly knee swelling. And you just wonder if there are handlers involved for a potential NBA draft pick that has gotten a lot of hype already and maybe just doesn't want to test it for a team that's destined to a 10 seed. We'll find out. We're monitoring that with plenty of pro prospects right now. The impact of the handlers. Okay, that's it for injury news. Nothing else in terms of roundup time. So we move on to We've Saw That. We saw that our segment discussing some of the results and surprising outcomes and performances of the past week. Let's start with the headlining Badgers here, boys. I'm not sure anybody had a better week than Wisconsin, going 2-0, two road wins in the Big Ten, starting by handing Michigan their first loss of the entire season in Ann Arbor. A hot shooting night saved the Badgers, but I mean, they were like 19, 17-point underdogs to go on the road there and win is massive. Followed up with a buzzer beating win at Minnesota, a place where a couple Big Ten teams have gone to die, Iowa, Indiana, notably. Matt, you had fully buried the Badgers. Where do you stand
hmm
on them now after this past week?
uh, I've come around a little bit. I'm still not gonna. I
Coming
think when we
around.
look back at this, now that we have seen um, Michigan play like a elite team, not a juggernaut for 3 straight games. Penn State, Wisconsin, Washington. They kind of had to. I think they caught Michigan at a really good time. Obviously, winning at Michigan is awesome. It's very impressive. I'm not going to dismiss that entirely, but I do think the timing of that game um,
Wow.
was a little
Man,
Downplaying.
fortuitous. I'm down for a little bit.
unbelievable.
I'm sorry. I know they found something with kind of spacing the floor out with some shooting. That's great. I still think this team has defensive ceiling is just not that high. I think they're going to get exposed. And we'll continue to see them exposed throughout Big Ten play in certain matchups, and I just don't think their March potential is super exciting either. Kai, how about a
That's
little
fair.
JMU rerun of
But
2024? Maybe they'll
yeah,
put
well,
that in
they
this
won't
year.
be that high. But I mean, they just went from out of the tournament to in with over the last 3 days. They picked up three Q1, Q2 wins. They have no bad losses. At Michigan's by far the best win in the country. It's not even close. So yeah, Badgers, Jim. Wow, the Minnesota win was huge. If they lost that game, right, they'd be very, very bubbly. Right now, they're on the right side of it right now.
Yeah, everybody was ready for them to drop the letdown spot. I think we talked about it on our Action Network podcast, thinking like Minnesota's probably a decent bet there. And Michigan had a sweet Chris Jenkins Villanova game tying three from Kate Tyson to tie it up with 7 or 8 seconds left. And Johnny Blackwell said, "Folks, remember me? I am from. I guess he's from Michigan. For some reason, I thought he was from Minnesota. I thought that was a back home
Both
game
M
for him,
states.
but came down, pulled up, buried it, and a true buzzer beater. Wisconsin celebrated running around the court there. Massive, massive week for them. To Matt's point, Wisconsin is 17th in the Big Ten out of 18 teams in both turnover percentage and 2 point percentage defense. Second in 3 point percentage defense. So perhaps a little bit of beneficial variance in the numbers there for Wisconsin so far in Big Ten play. But hey, they got Rutgers at home on Saturday. They should be fine. They can have a letdown performance there and still be okay. Also want to mention Texas for their incredible week 2-0, going to going to Alabama, winning over the weekend, and then giving Vanderbilt their first loss. Matt, I had kind of buried this team, so this is my mea culpa segment here because I thought Texas was just going to be a selfish, my turn, your turn, can't figure it out against good teams type of squad, and boy, they shut me down with two straight outstanding performances against Vandy and Alabama. Where are you at on Texas, Matthias? Like solid tournament team now? I mean, resume wise, they are.
Yeah, I think it's tough because I watched them against Tennessee, and I thought they had moments of compete in that game. The problem was they were just so banged up in the offseason. It did feel like very much a team of mercenaries, and now I think they're starting to look like little cohesion. And I still think Sean Miller's a decent coach. I feel like we all
It's a good coach.
threw him out to the Wolves like after last season because Xavier was supposed to be way better and they weren't. I was also worried about they have no real interior presence because Vokatitis I think sometimes has limitations. But
Oh, he
I mean
daddied Vandy.
he did, and I think that was a good matchup. And that's where maybe Vandy again. That's the one area I know they got bigger this year, but Vandy still doesn't really have that true five like legit guy at the rim. But with Swain playing well, and Tremont Mark, he can be that guy's like top five, like just runs so hot, scorer, can just lift you to any sort of victory. And then you got my guy Weaver doing his thing, and I still like Jordan Pope. Kai, I mean, there's pieces here, like no question. I'm not a huge Simi Wilcher guy. I think Heidi plays a little too much, but I guess he makes every shot he takes. I don't know. I think it could be a potential tournament. At what 9 or 10 seed,
Yeah,
maybe win a game.
I mean
That's where I'm at with this team.
they have the Dennis Gates School of Offense this year with a 50% free throw rate, so they're number one in the country in free throw rate. Vokatitis averages 10 fouls drawn per game per 40 minutes. Excuse me, per 40 minutes. That's an insane stat. That leads the country, by the way. Good for them. Yeah, Texas and Wisconsin. I love it, Jim. The drama of college basketball. Two teams, Undertaker GIF, boom, right back in the conversation. We did think Texas was going to be pretty solid this year, so this at least tracks more with expectations. I guess you guys were a little lower on them.
Yeah, I thought they were going to miss the tournament. That was one of my bold takes. And I was feeling
They
really
still might.
good on January 7th. But yeah, as of the last 2 weeks, or last two games, looking fantastic. Held Alabama and Vandy to a combined like 41% inside the arc. That's really good if you're having sustainable success like that. It's not just 3 point variance for them. Getting the line and limiting teams inside the arc. Kansas handed Iowa State their first loss. So that's three undefeated teams going down, leaving us with just three left. Kai, this was a vintage Fog performance. The shot making for Kansas early and often. Iowa State looked completely out of sorts, not really handling pressure at all. They turned it over like crazy in this game. I think it got as close as 9 in the second half, but it was never really in doubt. Kansas just completely demolished the Cyclones. Darren Peterson looking back kind of close to full health. How high does that elevate Kansas for you, Mr. McEwen?
I think they're very good, and this is of course sports betting in hindsight is really easy, like really easy. You can definitely win if you're betting in hindsight. Uh,
Fast post.
Kansas is the dog at home. Yeah, you got it. Kansas's defense is what sets them apart, I think, or at least gives them their ceiling, and that's an elite level of defense. I think they have this gear. I am not overly terrified though in a tournament setting, to be honest. I mean, Peterson is fantastic. He is the pro guard that you see the resumes of champions. He qualifies. I just don't think he has much help on the offensive end. So defensively, they're good enough to make a run. Offensively, I think they're pretty limited, and Peterson still is pretty foul prone. So A good team, I'm thinking like 5-ish seed for them, with a potential for an upset in the first round. Bill Self's known to do that sometimes.
Did you say Peterson's
I
foul prone?
Injury prone, excuse me.
Injury prone.
Injury
Yeah,
prone.
okay. Okay.
Yes, yes.
I love the Peterson minute. I think there's a perfect solution compromise where you get Self and the handlers and Peterson and the agents and all the people like, hey, we're gonna play him 25 minutes a game. Not gonna
Bless you.
excuse me, not going to stretch him too much, right? Risk his future, but kind of put him in that sweet spot where he gives you that offensive punch, but he doesn't entirely hijack the offense for 35 minutes a game. And I do think there are some defensive liabilities. And I think the key thing that this team really needs is a little bit of rhythm and confidence from like PL Marco Jackson and Jamari McDowell. Like when those two guys have played well, that's when Kansas has looked like an elite team. And I worry like if you just give the keys to Peterson, like obviously he's better than those guys, but then you're kind of just putting you're kind of like you're exiling two key guards that I think you're going to need coming down the stretch, like that balance, that kind of complementary ball mover type piece. So I love the recipe Self used in Iowa State. Do that 25 minutes a game for Peterson. Get the other guards involved. Get their confidence brewing. You have kind of that nice balance of a defensive but offensive upside with DP. So nice job, Self. To keep doing that.
That's like a Calipari though, like Jim. Like I'm playing Towns 20 minutes a game. Like
Yeah.
just play your best players. I know I understand the handler thing. That's ridiculous, by the way. He's 19 years old. He can play. Like let him play basketball. My goodness.
But
Yeah.
my points, I actually think that's better for KU. I think KU is
Really?
better with
I don't
Peterson at
agree.
25, not 35 minutes.
Boy,
Until
I
I
don't
see
really agree.
Peterson's defense look better and his ball movement, ball stopping tendencies. I think it's a better fit for him.
I just think he's
He
that
would have
good offensively.
he would have played like 33 minutes against Iowa State. He just sat the final six because they were up
He's
20.
because
So
they were up,
I'm
right?
not buying the
That's fair.
27's
That's
like
fair.
a going forward type of thing. Yes, they're better. Jackson and McDowell are like the classic. I know they've had a couple good games away from home, but it just feels like NBA role players. Like take them away from home and suddenly they look incredible. I mean, McDowell hit a couple jumpers in this game. I was like, really? He's hitting on the move fadeaway type stuff. That was just kind of like a everything going KU's way to me. A few others, teams that had really big weeks that are almost under the radar right now. Illinois, Florida, Houston, three teams sitting in the Ken Palm top 10 now. That's right, Florida's 10th.
Yeah.
They're
Ahead of
ahead of
Vanderbilt
Vanderbilt now. Exactly, yes. Massive game coming up on the weekend. Florida beat Georgia by 15, Tennessee by 24, Oklahoma by 17. Just completely destroying teams. Boogie Fland, shaved head, looking a lot better in the backcourt. Suddenly they look good with a good guard play. Illinois, 5-1 in the Big Ten. Road wins at Iowa and Northwestern. Keaton Wagler is like legitimately in borderline All-American conversations, first team All Big Ten type of player. Like he should be mentioned with the Peterson and at least in production in college, the Peterson, Devansa, Boozer group. Like he's not going to go top 3 in the NBA draft, but he's going to go like top 20 if he goes. And then Houston, Kingston Fleming, speaking of top 5 NBA picks, he's been ridiculous. Their defense has been unbelievable in Big 12 play, Kai, holding Baylor under 1 point per possession, Texas Tech under 1 point per possession. They look a lot more like vintage Houston. Which one of these teams stood out to you most, Kai, over the past week?
Yeah, Houston for me. I think this team is awesome. Like we expect them to be in the preseason, and they're getting better and better. These freshmen are going to get better. Cenac is turning into an absolute monster. Fleming's already is. They're top 5 in the country in both offensive turnover rate and defensive turnover rate. If you don't make mistakes, you force other people to make mistakes, you have the dominant rebounding, and you're dominant defensively. It's like Samson's formula every single year. Bona fide Final Four contender. Now, Arizona is really good, so I'm not saying Houston will definitely win the Big 12, but I'm very excited to watch those two duke it out because they're clearly the best two teams. Well,
Yeah,
Iowa State
I
will
would
throw in there as well, Jim. Just a little bit
I would take Iowa State or
Yeah.
Houston to finish above Iowa State in the
above
Big
Iowa
12.
State. Yeah.
Like that'd be a little gamble. Matthew, Florida, Illinois, Houston, talk to me.
I agree with the Iowa State versus Houston. I just want my only take here on this was we love Iowa State, and it's just my concern is that we're gonna have not concern. It's just it's a bummer that I do think there is something real to their recurring season arc where by the time you get to Big 12 play, playing really effing hard and playing its coaches and teams that know what you're going to do a little bit more, I think that just sort of started plateaus. They're still an awesome team. I think they've absolutely maxed out the talent upside of this team. but I don't believe that they're gonna, run roughshod to the Big 12. So I think Houston is for sure the team I would. I think they surpass Iowa State very clearly by March 1st. I think by March 1st we're like, yep, Houston is better. They're gonna go farther in March. Among I'm trying to think how many other teams I would say that about in the Big 12. I think Arizona for sure, and I might
they're
even
scary.
say BYU as well, maybe.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah,
I think I'd keep Iowa State a notch ahead of BYU, but the ceiling on a game-to-game performance for BYU with their individual talent is outrageous. Florida, I think Florida is the best team in the SEC. The fact that they're
Yeah.
now ahead of Vandy, I mean, they have 5 losses to Vandy's one, so that's a little bit controversial. They play head-to-head in Nashville for their only meeting this season on Saturday, but I've kind of been beating the Florida to win the SEC bet drum. They were like up to 6-1, I think, after the Mizzou loss, and now they're like plus 160 to Vandy's plus 140 to win the league. I just that team is so dominant on the glass, so dominant at the rim, and if you're suddenly going to get Fland and or Lee to play well, and Fland's been like legit awesome, then they are like really, really freaking good. So I'm on board the Gators in Illinois. We are tipping our cap to you. You're really good. Lager is awesome.
Yes.
Uh, they, I want to see them, get to play the top teams in the league, but they completely demolished Ben McCollum and Iowa on the road. I know it ended up a 6-point game, but it was like 15 the whole way.
Jim, during that Florida 3-game winning streak, Xavier Lee is 3 for 18 from three. He needs to stop. He needs to really calm down. He takes a lot of bad shots.
He's like just
Bad
throwing it
shots.
at the rim. He is not
Yes.
shooting it to make it. He
No.
is like hoping he'll hit the rim. It's not
Flan looks
pretty.
good.
Yeah, Fland has
no,
figured it out.
Fland's
I saw
good. I think
all the
we all
jokes
went
about
too hard
Lee
on
needs to go
Fland.
to.
Flan was
No,
looking
Fland was
well. He
Fland was
bad
crappy for a while.
Now he's
Yeah.
bad
But
for a while.
I think we forgot that there was very clear, like, he could easily just start playing well again. I mean, I thought he was awesome for stretches last year at Arkansas when he
Well,
was
yeah,
healthy. So
he didn't win, but he
That's
put up
that's why we
stats.
ranked him top 3 in the preseason because we knew he could be good.
that's true. It's fair.
All the jokes about Lee needing to go to Fland's barber are very good. I approve of them. They should continue to be made. Okay, a couple other things. Chicago State lost the game by calling a timeout while up one with zero point 0.1 seconds left, and they did not have a timeout. Yeah, technical foul. Boom. It's just those poor Cougars, Kai. Those poor Cougars. Mark
Why are
Titus
you
wouldn't do this.
calling a timeout with 0.1 seconds? All you had to do is hand. There's a rule that 0.3 seconds has to run off if once the ball is touched. The game's over if you give the guy the ball, the opponent the ball. That's just poor coaching. That's poor awareness. Plain and
Yeah,
simple.
really, really bad. So shout out to Stonehill taking advantage at least in overtime. I think they were down. Maybe they were down 2, actually. They were up 2.
Up 2.
So
yeah.
and then
So
they made
Stonehill
both
made
free
2
throws
free
to go to
throws,
OT.
beat him overtime. Yeah, insane.
Yeah, really, really bad. Just kind of one of those inventing ways to lose type of games. And speaking of, poor Georgetown fully celebrated a walk-off win at Creighton, like players huddling under the basket, like buzzer beater. We did it, waving goodbye to the crowd, very cockily. And then it goes to overtime because the ball, the shot was barely still in the hand of the shooter, I think KJ Lewis, and Creighton wins in overtime. So poor Georgetown has to eat their words. The Ed Cooley era, man, it might not last through the
As
year.
predicted by us. As
Yeah,
predicted.
more by you.
Sorry.
Sorry,
G-Town.
they're 4 straight losses. Not great.
Outside the top 100 in Ken Palm again. I remember when they were chirping at us at the start of last year because they
Yes, they chirp every year.
it's really bizarre.
Even Pat Ewing, they chirped. Chirp.
Yeah. 9-8 overall, 1-5 in the Big East, outside the top 100 in Ken Palm. I think hopefully even Georgetown fans are ready to move on. It's not pretty.
I think they are. Yes.
All right, so the buzzer beaters. Obviously, Georgetown was a near buzzer beater. We mentioned John Blackwell to beat Minnesota. Kai, you kind of hinted at it when we were talking Kentucky earlier.
Yeah, how about
Malachi Moreno in the fadeaway, not even really a fadeaway, basically the Leitner play without the dribble. I saw Rick Pitino joke on Twitter that, hey, they covered the inbounder with the big man and the play still worked, so
Yeah.
he's off the hook. But boy, did Kentucky need this. They were down as many as 19 in this game, I think, and came all the way back to win at LSU at the buzzer by Matt McMahon, probably.
Yeah, what a pass. Was it Chandler, I think?
Yeah, it was
Noah?
Chandler.
Yeah, because Patino's right. There was a big man on the ball, and he just kind of reared back, threw it perfect. You couldn't. You had to hit it perfectly, and he did. The LSU guy had to jump at the right time. He did. Moreno had to turn around quickly, hit the shot. So fantastic shot. Matt McMahon is done at LSU. And the AD actually said before this game, he said, if we don't make the tournament, we're basically moving on.
Yep, yep. As you know, Kentucky's backs against the wall, and they were able to get this done, but it looked bleak early. I think they were down 19-3. It just was like, uh-oh. But at least they showed some fight, even without Quaintance. I mean, against Gonzaga, they rolled over. On the road, SEC environment, nice for them to come all the way back. And Matt, how about Ole Miss? Might have deserved a shout out, and like we saw that because big week for them. Beat Mizzou at home, go on the road, beat Georgia on a Patton Pinkins tip in overtime. They're kind of zombie Ole Miss. Chris Beard's not dead and buried quite yet. AJ Storr's suddenly playing really, really well for them. Where do you land on the Rebels right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but my whole thought was I called the SEC shakedown. It looks so mushy, and Texas and Ole Miss, I both was ready to kind of write off as like, okay, I know what these teams are, and then they have the week that they have, and now there's a pulse, and I'm not sure how real the pulse is, but I think there is a pulse. As long as they're competitive. I think the key things with these power conference teams, like as long as you're in the hunt, um, you avoid like the white flag tailspin downward spiral, which is what we generally see a couple of teams in these leagues do, right? Like one team just kind of has like an 0-7 stretch. The portal stuff starts coming up. You're not making the tournament, and then that's when like those teams become zombie teams. But I think in terms of competitive basketball teams that are in, obviously the talents there. I mean, there's really no bad teams in this conference except for LSU, despite their 46th ranking in KenPom, which is kind of a farce. No
Yeah,
DJ Thomas, obviously.
it's hard to call them outright bad
I
without,
know.
having controlled that game. But they are 0-4 in league play and have a long climb to go to make the NCAA tournament for Mr. Matt McMahon's job security. LSU's best win this season is over SMU. And the Ponies had a monster buzzer beater to beat Virginia Tech. Poor Hokies. I don't know if anybody's gone through their 3 ACC losses. Somebody posted a video of it.
Yeah.
It's just like buzzer beater, shot with 3 seconds left, shot with 2 seconds left, and that's their 3 losses. But Boopy Miller from half court here, Kai. Now I won't let Virginia Tech all the way off the hook because they missed 2 front ends in the final like 3 seconds. They missed one, got the offensive rebound, got fouled again, missed front end again, and then Miller hits this bomb to win by one. But man, you can't really expect that kind of a shot, and I'm sure SMU is glad to have Boopy back after he missed a game due to illness.
Yeah, again, teams are just padding resumes and huge win. It's doesn't matter how you win it, man. It just matters if you win, and that's all it shows up on the team sheet. And SMU's on the right side right now, so I hope they make it. They're a fun team, very fun offensive team.
Yeah, the guards are really good. A lot of balance there with Pierre, Edwards, and Boopy. Hawaii in the Big West, massive, massive shot from Hunter Erickson to beat UC Irvine at the buzzer. Kai, I have a UC Irvine Big West future, and this happened right after your Bears came back to beat the Packers. So this was just a twisting of the knife for me on Saturday night. Real painful. Irvine had it won on the road, would have been a monster, like clear them atop the standings by 2 games from Hawaii. And instead, Erickson hits this, and it's going to be a heck of a fight in the Big West. Though it doesn't seem like UC San Diego will be involved at this point anymore.
It's a 2-team race.
Yeah, probably 2-team. But gosh, what a shot there from Erickson. It was like kind of a scramble, just grabbed a loose ball and hit a fadeaway J. So hey, court awareness, it's massive. And then in the Southland, Colton Benson, former Army transfer for New Orleans, beat Southeast Louisiana on a like bouncing in, hit every part of the rim buzzer beater. That was really cool. Not as big nationally, not as big for the race in the conference, but still a very cool shot.
I was also going to say Texas State, Jim, former Texas State transfer as well. He transferred from both schools.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, nice. Shout out. I was thinking ground troops, Kai, but you cover all my bases for me. I appreciate it.
For me. Yep.
Couple big stat lines. Tarleton's Dior Johnson had 40 in 31 minutes against Southern Utah just last night on Thursday night. Still not sure why he only plays 31 minutes in a 45-minute OT game. He is by far the best player on the floor in that conference every time he steps out there. But hey, shout out to him. They got a massive win there.
Matthew, did you? No, they lost, right?
Did they lose?
They lost.
My bad. I'm remembering wrong.
Matt, did you watch this game? Did you see at the end they were down by 1, 30 seconds left? Dior Johnson was on the bench for some reason, and he was begging the coaches to call a timeout so he'd get in the game. And the coaches did. They did call a timeout. Ended up losing the game. I don't know what happened next, but what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't.
Your guy who has 40 is on the bench with 30 seconds left, down one. Ugh, I don't
His
know.
his
I think Gillespie is just like yo-yoing him as like a teacher, mentor, lessons along, like it's just a whole slew of stuff. Like the one game against who was against Cal Baptist, he didn't play the whole first half, and he's like abnormally cheering for his team, like trying to like
Right.
posture
Over the
himself as
top.
like a good
Yes.
guy teammate. And then of course he goes off for like 36 in the second half. I mean, he's an insane player. Like you can see why
He's
he was rated so highly.
he's 20 for 32 from 3 this year. 63%.
I mean, like
yeah.
tough shots too. I mean, like step backs. I mean, he's got the entire bag. I mean, he will play in the league, I think, or he will play professionally at a high level. How
His
he's big
four
enough, I guess.
his last four games, 40 points, 33 points, 34 points, 36.
My God.
And earlier this year he had 29, 33, 42, 32 in stretches. Like when he plays, when they give him like the ball, he gets the Ken Palm game MVP and scores 35. And they just
Unreal.
haven't really
What's
let him
his
do it.
baggage again? I'll say it in
He's played
quotations
at like
politically.
14 schools in 7
Okay,
years or
so
something.
lack of
Like,
loyalty, I guess.
yeah, he
No,
committed
no
to like
follow
four
through.
different schools. Yeah, I think he's just kind of a all over the place. But my God, the talent on the floor is ridiculous. And then, hey, shout out to Portland State's Terry Miller Jr. Had a 14, 10, and 13 triple double against Sacramento State over last weekend. Portland State also picked up another big win in the Big Sky last night, holding off desperate Northern Colorado. So they are the team to watch there. Mr. Coburn and his don't get comfy, don't get warm, don't get satisfied, don't eat breakfast.
So
He's
weird.
it's working. The philosophy is working. All right, that's it for We Saw That, fellas. Let's get into three-man thoughts. I want somebody else to talk. Kai, let's go to you
Oh,
first
should we
because
go to
I'm
Matt first
guessing,
in case he has
I don't know, I'm
duties and
guessing Matt
stuff?
only has one thought, but yeah,
Let's
sure,
do
let's
it.
Ooh,
go to Matt.
I hear some crying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just more of a collective thought. Let's start with this. The SEC, Big Ten, Big 12. It's kind of fun 'cause it's the first year we've in a while. It feels like we've really had like three. And Jim, I'm willing to put the ACC in maybe not maybe that's a reach, but Jim, very good piece on the Athletic by the way about the ACC's return to prominence. Ken Pom still has ACC's rating 2 spots below the Big Ten and Big 12, and 3 below the SEC. So
Above the Big
SEC
East, though.
one. I'm sorry, what?
Above the Big East, though.
And the ACC is above the Big East.
Yes.
Hooray, hurrah! And that's pretty impressive because the Big East has the in the Kent Pom rating system for the conferences the benefit of only having 10 teams. So just I obviously you can look at these as SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC. Kai, feel free to define your criteria as you wish. I was trying to say have the teams, each conference gets basically like a 5% cut the fat at the bottom. Like where are you at in terms of just overall conference ranking? SEC, Big 10, Big 12.
Ooh, best conference? Wow.
Just for
Gosh.
while you're just saying that the context of the SEC has no top 10 teams officially as
One.
of today.
They have one, Florida. Yeah.
Oh,
They
Florida's right
suck,
at
yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think they're charging back into that. If we're just ranking teams now, I would put Florida as a top 10 team. Big 10, much more top heavy with Purdue, Michigan, Illinois at 5, Nebraska's undefeated. They're at 15, Michigan State's 12, and then kind of a little bit of a drop off there. Iowa's still kind of an analytic darling at 21, but I think we
Yeah,
both
they
we
don't they
all
haven't
know that
beaten
was
anybody good.
haven't been
Yeah.
anybody good yet, right? And then the Big 12, Arizona, Houston, Iowa State, and I would put BYU at 13, kind of in that tier. I believe Jim, the Big 10 is the best conference currently, followed by the SEC, followed by the Big 12.
I'm going Big 12 one.
Okay.
That's my top. I think a lot of this is and the ratings, I think the reminder for people, the ratings by Ken Pom are the net rating needed to go 500 in the league. So that's like the balance there. I just the top of the Big 12 is so freaking good with Iowa State, Arizona, Houston, as we discussed, BYU, Texas Tech, Kansas looks back. I mean, maybe they're not top five in the league still, but and there's still a little bit of depth there. The bottom of all these leagues have some fat you'd love to cut, so I won't judge them based on that. I'm judging this a little more based on the top, and Big Ten's freaking close with Nebraska plus those three top five teams. But Kai, I'm going slight nod to the Big 12. I actually think SEC is like a clear three for me of these three.
I
Mm.
think I'm going Big 12 as well. I think I'm going Big 12 as well. Yeah, that's tough to say, but they have 5, 6 bangers of a team that I think
Yeah.
very clear. And It does kind of drop after that, Matt. It's a good question. It's a good question. I don't think the SEC's middle and lower parts are very, very good. Um, I don't think the
Yeah,
Big Ten is very good past like the top 8 or 9 or 10, maybe.
I'm probably overrating the Big Ten middle, which feels a little more
A
brittle
little soft.
than the
you do
SEC's
love
middle.
Wisconsin.
But
You're
all
a big
these,
Wisconsin and Ohio
Yeah,
State
but I love
fan,
all
Wisconsin,
Matthew.
three
right?
of these leagues do have a little bit of a soft middle, to your point.
Yeah, the
Uh,
SEC I think is just benefiting most from having only two teams outside the top 60, and they
correct.
have
Yeah.
nobody outside the top 100. They don't have the like Maryland Rutgers or
Right.
um, Utah down at the bottom that's weighing
Penn
them
State.
down. I think
Yeah.
that's why they're like to me a little artificially inflated on an overall conference view. That's
Yes, I
why
agree
they're the
with
clear
that.
three for me.
The Big Ten's issue, Kai, is teams like UCLA, USC, and I'll put Washington and Oregon. Basically, the West Coast teams have all had some pretty bad injury situations. I think those are all four we thought would be better, frankly, and I think they're all have higher ceilings. And that's kind of the story of this whole conference is like you went to the West Coast, but the teams out west haven't really, this year they're really not delivering their goods. But at their best, I think those are four really good teams, but we just haven't seen it this year.
All right, Kai, let's go to you for your first thought.
All right, Jim, I got winning streaks and I got losing streaks. We're going to start off with winning streaks. So, Ken Palm tracks winning streaks, for those of y'all who are not aware. Um, a lot has been said about Nebraska, obviously, 21 wins in a row. That's pretty well known. Miami of Ohio and Arizona, of course, are undefeated. But who else is surging out there in the country? Well, I have a few names for you. The teams with 13 wins in a row, fellas, UConn and BYU. Jim, apparently, this is the best start for UConn in like 20 years, which I didn't realize, like even better than their two championship seasons recently. They're rolling. They're not going to be challenged again until they're at St. John's on February 6th. Very impressed by them. They're scary. I don't want Hurley to win another championship. My gosh, it's very possible. And then BYU, not really been talked about as much. They are 4-0 in the Big 12 right now. Now, their games in the Big 12 have been Kansas State, Arizona State, Utah, TCU. So let's give them a chance to maybe play a real Big 12 team here coming up. But both teams have been very, very impressive.
Kai, do you know who BYU's only losses to?
Who?
UConn.
Is it UConn?
So it is UConn by like 1 or 2 points by 2 points at the Boston Garden all the way across the country. Big like Debanza coming out party, huge second half performance. UConn's only losses to Arizona, an
Uh-huh.
undefeated team. So yeah, these two
That's
are
a short.
really really good. Yeah, there you go. BYU, yeah, the Big 12 really kind of a soft opening schedule with like the top five teams
Very
not really
soft.
playing each other at all. You got Iowa State at Kansas. That was like the first intertangling of top teams going at it. Finally, we get BYU at Texas Tech this weekend. That's one we'll discuss in previews later. Arizona's schedule is soft. They get at BYU to late January, and then they don't see like Kansas, Texas Tech, BYU till mid-February. So would have liked a little bit more from the schedule makers there, but it will lead to bigger games. You potentially get the like undefeated Arizona going to Houston on February 21st. That's a possibility. Would love to see that. Yeah, both these teams are rolling, and I believe in both of them. UConn, I think, is like top 3 to 5 good
Me
when
too.
they're fully healthy, and BYU's got a really high ceiling because of the individual talent.
Matthew, your boys, the Murray State Racers, the cheese stands alone. 11 straight wins in the country. They're 7-0 in the Valley. They have a 1.5 game lead. Lots of talent led by former UIC/Utah State transfer Javon Jackson. Do you hope they're in the tournament?
I do. It's a bummer because if they just beat Middle Tennessee, they'd probably be like at least in an at
Possibly.
large.
Yes.
I think they lost that. Was it a buzzer beater? I believe. Um, yeah, they killed George Washington. They beat Akron by 115 on Akron. It's pretty crazy. The
They're
Valley is
54th
good.
and they're 54th and wins above bubble right now. Yeah, they'd probably
Yeah.
be like
Are on the edge.
40, 45th, 46th
Yeah,
if they had gotten that Middle Tennessee game.
I think this year is like a identity change for the Valley. Like I think that the old
Love the
hats,
Valley.
your Bradleys, your Illinois States,
Drake's
even
recently.
your Drakes, Northern Iowas especially, look up and you see Murray and Belmont like just kind of separating themselves and just the way they're playing with their pace and offensively. I think we're going to start to see some teams brand wise copycat. what you're seeing. I mean, Murray, like I said, Murray and Belmont, if they've been healthy and not blown a few late close games, they also would be right there in at large contention too. But those two are the two best teams, in my opinion. With all due respect to Illinois State, who can't guard anything, and
They
Northern
keep
Iowa,
losing.
who
Three
can't
straight
score.
losses.
I know. Stop losing.
Yeah, the
Hey,
Ohio Valley is taking over.
Illinois
Yeah,
State
exactly.
number one defense in the Valley, Matthew, in league play.
Wait, who's this?
Illinois State, team that can't guard
That's because
anybody.
they played freaking Evansville
They
and
lost.
Indiana State twice in
I'm just
Valpo.
saying that's
I know.
the
You're right. I don't
but
buy
yeah,
it.
they should not be 4-3 in the league, having not seen Bradley, Belmont, Murray State yet. That's concerning.
Wow, they actually are number one. You're right, Jim. I did not realize they're number one. Still, I think that's actually that's what's concerning is I don't think they're
Yeah,
actually really the best defensive team in the league, and they're freaking
yeah.
4-3.
Arch Madness is going to
Oh,
kick
it's gonna be
butt
awesome.
It
this
will.
year.
Can't wait.
It's
Yep.
going to be so good.
Okay, 4 teams, fellas, around this out with 10 straight wins right now. Houston, who we've talked about on this podcast. Gonzaga, who just lost Braden Huff, unfortunately. Oh, Miami, Florida, and St. Louis, the SLU Bills. SLU Billikens are the darlings right now of college basketball, Jim. Schertz has created magic once again at a mid-major. After Indiana State, he's basically reincarnated the good vibes. Everyone's talking about SLU. We love SLU.
SLU's awesome. They're like a different version. Like everybody's just say, oh, they're just Indiana State again. Well, not really. Like Robbie Avila never posts up anymore. They always have him on the perimeter. They like use him more as a facilitator and shooter out there than they do as like an interior hub. They're way better on defense than you think. A part of it's schedule, but to be third nationally in 2-point percentage defense, they're like tops, I think top two in the country in rim percentage allowed, like field goal percentage, not frequency, field goal percentage. And that's with Avila being an anchor. Like they've got long athletic wings. Otieno, McCautry, those guys are mobile. Deion Brown, Quentin Jones, really good athletes. And they're awesome on the glass too. Like they're better at things you wouldn't expect them to be good at. And then they also are number one in the country in 2-point attempt distance. They get Schertz had a huge interview this week talking about like we just try to get no dribble layups, like back cuts type things. Like get guys open to just finish the play there, have great ball movement, the 34th in assist rate. Just beautiful basketball to watch. And I think they're deeper and more athletic than that team, the Indiana State team from a couple years ago, and they should win the A10, especially with that road win at VCU already in hand.
Beautiful basketball indeed. I love watching them play. I also love how Josh Schertz just rags on Avila in a joking way to the media all the time. They're having their annual baby race at halftime where babies crawl across the floor. And someone asked him if Avila could win the race. He goes, absolutely not. Like he would get torched. Some of those babies can really go. I love when he digs at him publicly. I will say this: the Canes, Matthew, Miami, they're now top 30 in KenPom.
I like
Preseason
this team a lot.
preseason 76, but they have 0 top 50 wins. We talked about, I believe, on this podcast, but definitely in the Discord, how favorable their ACC schedule was coming into the year. They don't play Duke. They play Louisville only at home. That gives them a chance to win the ACC right now. Are they actually good, or is this
Yes,
kind of like Fugazi scheduling?
I believe they're good, and it sucks that we're not actually going to find out like until maybe I don't know
Oh, they're
February.
at Clemson on Saturday. They're at
Oh yeah,
Clemson on
they play
Saturday.
at Clapper. They're at home in Clemson.
Big
Yeah, okay,
opportunity.
so we'll find out this Saturday to some extent. Here's the thing: is when they played Florida and BYU, they weren't fully healthy, and their freshmen are playing key roles, and their freshmen are really good, by the way. They've had their international guys start to come along and make some key, get some key production there. Defensively, I feel like this team's actually better than their metrics show. Um, it feels like a lot of their efficiency. They're 36 overall. They're actually eighth so far in the ACC. I think a lot of that's just been like game flow. Like they've been up big on some teams, and it's been some garbage points coming back late. Going back to, I think Jim mentioned this, Jim and Will preseason. Like I think this has top 20 defensive potential still, even though the metrics so far this year haven't quite. Uh, like Louisiana and Monroe, they were up a bunch on them, and they just gave up 80. They gave up
It's
80 to
impossible.
FIU. But I trust me, this is a good defensive team. Like I think in high leverage spots going forth, I think that'll bear out. I like Miami.
Yeah,
I'm glad we talked
they're
about Miami.
they're big. They got Uday Renew inside, so you got a big front court. True Washington, Trey Donaldson are men on the perimeter. Shelton Henderson, great athletes, 240-pound three-man who's great in transition. I totally buy the defensive personnel as well. It's just an absolute freaking farce that they play Boston College twice and Duke 0 times.
How
It
do you
is. That was a
play
joke.
a
That's
conference team
so
zero times
stupid.
in college basketball?
It's so stupid.
Wild.
It's I can't I
I,
can't even, yeah.
it's ridiculous. To Matt's point, Louisiana Monroe hit 15 threes against Miami, so he's on to
Yep.
something.
Yeah.
Jim, that
Miami also doesn't have to take the West Coast trip. I'll mention that. They don't have to go to
yeah,
California. Another cozy
my
part of their
gosh.
schedule. Yep.
Anyways, that was winning streaks. I'll be back with losing streaks after Jim.
Yeah, Kai, let's talk real quick conference players of the year. Some of these are pretty easy. It's early, but I think a few are rather obvious. Like in the ACC, it's probably Cam Boozer,
It's
despite,
Cam Boozer. Yeah.
Caleb Wilson's been incredible, Boopy, even Renew, but yeah, it's gonna be Cam Boozer. Big Ten's kind of interesting. Braden Smith, but Yaxel Endeborg is way up there. I think I got to give it to Smith right now. Kai, he's been on a tear lately. Like his last few games have been insane. He had 26 and 14 against Penn State, 26 points, 14 assists, completely took over in the second half against Iowa. Who would you say in that league?
He's definitely going to break the assist record, right? Like,
He's trending for it. I think if at his current average, they'd have to make like the second round of the tournament
really?
and
Wow.
the Big Ten tournament title.
He
Yeah.
has 8 games this year with 10 plus assists. It's like, my gosh. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
awesome. I would give it to Smith right now, Jim, as well, because Yax, who's been awesome, has a lot more help. Like even if you look at Ken Palm's Big Ten All Conference, Morez Johnson's number 3 after Yax is number 2, and Johnson was in the top 10 Ken Palm Player of the Year for a bit too. Obviously, they have Ademara as well and Cadeau. So yeah, Braden Smith for me right now in Big Ten.
Yeah, I love Yax, but like you do need some counting stats in his last 4 games, 14 points, 14, 10 points, 8 points.
How
Like
ordinary.
that's that yeah, it is for if you're going to try to win player of the year in an 18 team conference, I will take Braden Smith's production over what Yax is doing. Okay, so those are the main two in the Big Ten there. Big East, this one is completely wide open. Like Michael Ajayi is probably the most productive player, but Butler stinks and
Yeah, I
is
can't
gonna
give it to him.
is descending way towards the bottom. Maybe it's Zuby Ejiofor, as maybe was expected in the preseason, or you could just pick a UConn guy and you'd probably be okay. Caravan, Demery, Terrace Reed, whoever you want. Where would you go, Kai?
For me, it's Zuby right now. I understand UConn because of where they are. They should probably get Player of the Year, but they're going to have most of the All Conference team. They're the best team. They have a lot more to offer right now than St. John's, which is surprising to say, but that's just how St. John's has been this season. They've not been living up to their potential. It's Zuby. He's so important to that team.
Okay, here's a more fun question. Coach of the year, is it Dan Hurley or is it Shaheen Holloway?
It's Shaheen Holloway, 100%.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
that's the crazy part. Like I
Yes.
want to just be like, well, UConn, you don't get player of the year because you get coach of the year, but Holloway or Willard are both absolutely in contention for
Yeah.
that right now.
Yeah, Willard,
Okay,
shoot, he's right there. Yeah.
Big 12. This one is tough. Josh Jefferson, AJ DeBanza, JT Toppin, Kingston Flemings, all in the top 10 for Ken Palm's National Player of the Year. And none of those guys are on Arizona, the undefeated #1 team in the country. So, like,
Yeah.
what do you
Wow.
do here?
I have no idea. I have no idea. For me, it was a clear top end choice at the beginning of the season. Texas Tech can't finish like 5th or 6th and get the Player of the Year of the conference. Jefferson's probably the answer right now, but you could go. This is the one wide open race. I think. Maybe the SEC is a bit too, but Big 12 is super wide open.
Yeah, I'm sort of inclined to go Debanza right now. He's
Yeah,
been just outrageous. Like his first six
yeah.
games of the
Devance's
season
great.
weren't as good, but man, he's on a tear in Big 12 play and they're undefeated. But yes, a lot to unfold in that conference still with
He
like
has
14 games to play for everybody.
10 straight games of over 20 points. Devance.
Yep, and he's assisting and he's getting a ton of rebounds. He's doing it all efficiently. SEC, I think I'd go LeBaron Filan, Kai, but Tyler Tanner atop the league there with Vandy.
Yep.
You got Thomas Houck, Keyshawn Hall can't stop scoring. Jacoby Gillespie's great. Darius Acuff's fantastic. Josh Hubbard is on a middling team, but is scoring like 28 to 30 every single night. This one is tough too.
2-player race. Well, no, I'll go 3-player race between
Wow.
Filan, Tanner, and Hauk for me. I would
Wow.
go Filan as well right now. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Filan. They got really shorthanded. I think they're down to 8 scholarship players and they won at Mississippi State by 15. Like
Uh,
that's credit to him.
Sorry, quick tangent, real quick. Debansa, to me, not being talked about a lot in the national sphere. Is that a point to not go to BYU? If he
Yeah,
was playing
maybe.
for Duke, this guy would be talked about around the clock.
A big part of it too is they haven't played a meaningful game since Clemson on December
Probably
9th.
yes. Yes.
And yeah, the schedule just hasn't put them on national TV. Saturday, Texas Tech is his time to
There you go.
re-announce himself, and then they get Arizona at home on Monday, January 26th. So yeah, if you're playing K-State, Arizona State, Abilene Christian, Pacific, UC Riverside, Eastern Washington, it's harder to get as much in the headlines, even though he had a triple double in there and some really crazy statistical outputs. We can skip the Mountain West, WCC, and A10. Sorry, Kai. Let's go back to you.
Okay.
Matt has gone to baby duty for the
Yes.
listeners at home.
I like that Matt doesn't announce when he's going to leave. He just leaves, and
Yep.
he leaves me and Jim alone,
High and dry.
lonely,
High and dry.
The Radiohead song. Radiohead's a really good band. You guys should check them out. You ever heard of them? They're pretty old.
I have heard of them, yes.
All right, losing streaks. We got to call it Mississippi Valley State. The poor Delta Devils. They've lost 16 in a row. It's by far the longest losing streak in the country. They did, however, Jim, beat the Mississippi University for women this season, giving us one of the best hashtags and one of the best jokes from the Mississippi Valley State account. Some hashtag like beat women. And
Yep,
Mississippi
we
Valley
beat
State
women.
guys were like, no, we're not using that hashtag.
Yep.
However, they have lost every other game. They did take Utah Tech to double overtime. They lost to Prairie View by 1. So they're more competitive this year than in past years. But unfortunately, they just can't win ball games.
Yeah, they got Texas Southern, who's been terrible, the worst ATS team in the country, and they lost by 30 on the road there.
Yeah.
Had they not beaten the women, Kai, it would be a 27 game losing streak because they lost their
Really?
final 9 last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's ugly.
I don't know why some of these teams are D1. I'll be honest. It's a question. It's a question. Maybe there's
Yeah.
money. I don't know how the finances work in college basketball. I
I
should.
will say this. Last year, Mississippi Valley State was worst in the country on offense and defense
Mhm.
per Ken Palm's ratings. They are only 357th on defense this year. So
Nice.
picked it up a little bit.
Way to go, squad. Okay, there are two teams with 10 straight losses who we're going to call out here. It's Air Force and it's UTSA. And Jim, Air Force is freaking awful. Their average margin of victory is 13.5 points per game. So they're losing games by 13.5 points per game.
Yeah, margin of defeat. Don't
Margin
say
of
victory
defeat.
for them.
Margin of defeat. Not a great ATS team. They've lost 4 of their 6 Mountain West games by over 20 points. They are number 342 in KenPom, which is over 100 spots behind the next worst team in the conference. This is their worst KenPom ranking in history. But Joe Scott, their head coach, does have 2 other Air Force teams outside the top 300. It is a very difficult environment for a military school, especially playing in a really good league like the Mountain West, to be good. But boy, they're bad.
Yeah, they can't go to the portal at all and bring players in. So when someone leaves, they're just crippled and have to replace them with a freshman. And they're playing a really young lineup, the 358th in the country in Division One experience. Some of the other teams up there are like, teams with incoming one and done type players. So that's it's tough to be competitive in the Mountain West when you're working with that. And Kai, they did lose by 8 at San Jose State, which is one of the teams closest to them. San Jose State was missing 4 of their 5 opening day starters. Like, very easily to argue their 3 best players, San Jose State, were out, and Air Force still lost by 8 on the road.
Yeah,
All that said, I think UTSA is a more embarrassing
it
team
is
this year.
Yes. Air Force, the other military schools get to play in mid-major leagues and low major leagues. UTSA, Matt, who's just back now, I've seen them play. I watched a full game, which they actually covered, which is one of their very few ones they covered. They're so bad. Their awareness level is 0. They're currently 0-5 in the American. They've lost all 5 games by double digits, including a 40-point loss to FAU, a 33-point loss to Tulane. They're the nation's 3rd worst against the spread team at 3-12. They have the 2nd worst spread cover margin, so minus 7.8 points per game they're not covering by. And they're number 345 in KenPom, which is nearly 200 spots below their preseason rank under Austin Clonch. Matt, it's the worst in the KenPom era. The program has been outside the top 300 twice, but never this bad.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Our guy Claunch.
Get out of here.
Friend of the
Past
pod.
three man
Friend of
we've
the pod.
guessed.
I love
Yeah,
Hey, friend
Clash,
of the
but he's
pod.
clearly he's lost
he
the
should
mojo.
be back on the Alabama staff next year.
Yeah, I bet he wishes he
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll hire
Um,
Richie Riley, and then Riley can just have Claunch be his top assistant. Maybe they'll have some mojo there.
Is it a
Little
good job? It must
South
not be a
Alabama.
good job.
I think it's a
I know. I
horrific
think it
job.
is. I think it's supposed to be like it's.
I need
Well,
No,
sorry.
Goodman's. I need Goodman's
Uh,
rankings.
program wise, it's I think being elevated by the whole football rise and conference, but like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was like a low level Conference USA program, and now it's like, oh, now you're in the Americans. Like, really? Okay. I don't know. Yeah.
I think they have like no money. There's a whole thing about them not being able to pay players, and
Yeah.
like the agent called them out, and then like players said they weren't getting payments.
And we
They have no connectivity at all. The players
hard
do
to
Yeah.
not care. This would be one that Kai, if in 2 years there's an indictment about a team
yes.
throwing games,
Jamar
I would
Simpson.
have 0% 0% surprise about UTSA being involved.
And Jim and I played in this arena for media pickup ball in San Antonio this past year. It's not really a high major arena, we'll say.
It's not an
The
American
Convocation Center?
conference.
It's a
arena.
high
Yeah.
school gym. It is a
The
high school,
convocation?
yes, it is a high school gym, very similar to like Lafayette, Matthew. Is how I would compare it to.
If your gym's named the Convocation Center, change the name of your gym. Like,
There's a lot of those.
distinguish yourself
Convo.
from two other schools. Just call it something else. Anything.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my losing streak thought. I'm glad Matt's back. Jim, you have one more thought for us?
Yeah, just want to talk and give some credit to some unlikely at-large candidates, teams we didn't even see coming early in the year. At this point, Georgia, SMU, UCF, Seton Hall are like above this. They're not even bubble candidates. Those teams are in the field right now, and that shocks me. SMU, I think probably the team we thought the highest of coming into the year, had them squarely 50th in our top 50 countdown. We did not consider UCF or Seton Hall whatsoever. Georgia, we were like, okay, that's back to a bottom three SEC team. Now it's a little precarious for them. The home loss to Mississippi is going to, give them a chance to. We'll see if they get exposed in the SEC play. But for now, comfortably in the tournament. The five I wanted to call out: Stanford,
Yeah.
Maddie's squad.
Yeah.
Kyle Smith continuing to do more with less and discovering a potential All-American in Ibuka Okori. Just incredible talent identification there. New Mexico, Eric Olin's got New Mexico like in very much in the picture, potentially in the tournament, potentially the second best team in the Mountain West right now. That's right, San Diego State. You got to prove yourselves. Texas A&M, Bucky McMillan getting a late start at that job, somehow building a roster that is now competitive and almost got a win at Tennessee. Virginia Tech should be comfortably in the field if they didn't have three ACC losses in the final 5 seconds of games. Just brutal stuff from Mike Young, who's trying to bounce back from a terrible last year. And then George Mason, 17-1, just barely avoided Kai's winning streaks thing because the loss happened right in the middle of their 17 wins. But they are right there in terms of WAB. They played a terrible schedule, but 17 wins still is a lot. Kai, any of these teams jump out most to you that you've watched or just that you're most surprised by?
Well, shout out Stanford, who has a very fun resume. Tied for fourth in Q1 wins. They have 4 Q1 wins. They're 4-1 against Q1. They have a Q3 loss and a Q4 loss. So it's just a dichotomy of resume. I love Kyle Smith. He's fantastic. Obviously, Ibuka Corey has been amazing, and he is a big reason why they're this good. But boy, you got to credit a coach that had no expectations this season, playing in the ACC in Stanford, and they're competing for a tournament, which definitely was not in the realm of possibilities. I think preseason that win over over SLU on neutral is looking real good right now, Matt.
I is Okori gonna go pro?
I think
He's
should.
like talked about top 20 pick right now, and he's
Okay.
got a
Yeah,
little
I don't
bit
know
of
if that was like
size.
he's too small, but yeah, he's incredible. Awesome. The Stanford crowd, by the way, I know I've been sort of throwing shade at some of these West Coast. Like I said, I pulled the attendance data last week. I should have made that a whole thought this week. Like the Big Ten, Paulie's like last, like UCLA. Stanford's not been good either, but Stanford's crowd against UNC, that was big time. So props to the what's the pavilion? What do they call it there?
Maples.
Maple. Yeah, Maples. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Maybe Tiger
Great
Woods will
mockery.
pop in for a game. He used to do that every once in a while when they were really good. Yeah, Stanford's still got 3 more trips across the country, which is really, really tough. That's the disadvantage of being all the way out there on the West Coast. But Hopefully you catch some teams vulnerable going the other way. They've got Duke coming up, Natty. If they pick up that Duke win,
Yeah.
Hmm.
I thought Boston College would be better than Stanford. Just, I mean, I've had a lot of
I
dumb
believe we had
takes
a
this
board
year.
bet on that one.
True,
Yeah.
truly
yeah,
some bad takes. I mean, that is like I was warned by people other than both of you that that was maybe a foolish endeavor, and I put the clown mask on
there
every
you
day,
go.
Kai.
I'm intrigued by Virginia Tech. They're fully healthy now. Toby Lawal was out. Amani Hansberry missed a couple of
Hansberry's
games.
back. Yeah, they
They've
had no
been in it
size.
like,
Now they do.
yep. Now they're in Gerdak, the freshman's giving them a little bit of size. They've got chances in the ACC to really continue to build that resume. New Mexico is the one that just like blows my mind. I look at this roster and I don't fully understand it. Like the guys where they came from, like Tommy Bouillon's been a total revelation coming from the international ranks, but Albury was a reject at Utah State, more or less. Like they were okay with him leaving. And now he's on a team that's competing with Utah State for a conference title. Jake Hall, rather unheralded freshman. Uriah Tenet, I believe, was committed to UC San Diego and followed Olin to New Mexico, and he's been great. Antonio Chol, former Rutgers and JUCO product. They've just found the pieces and put them together in a way that makes me believe Eric Olin may not be at New Mexico for longer than a season.
Awesome, coach. And then going back real quick to Virginia Tech, Jim, we mentioned how unfortunate their last three losses have been. Let's also remind ourselves they're 4-0 in overtime this season. What a crazy razor. We're walking on the edge the entire year, the Hokies.
Yep,
Nuts.
could have definitely lost to Providence. Virginia was three OTs, went to overtime at home against Elon.
Yeah.
Can't be doing
Yeah.
that. So yeah, they've been playing to the level of competition, I guess we'll call it. A lot of close games. The cardiac Hokies. All right, that is my thought, fellas. Let's get to some previews. Saturday, again, we will go far more in depth on our Saturday show. Tune in 10 a.m. Central on our YouTube channel. We'll go through, we call it the Best Bet Show, so it's much more gambling tilted, but ask about any game you want in the chat and we'll discuss it. We'll start with Florida at Vandy. Big one for SEC supremacy here. Vandy got caught midweek. Florida did not. They mashed Oklahoma. Matthias, I think there's going to be a lot of like, oh, let's buy low on Vandy after the loss. I think Florida is going to assert themselves in the paint, probably out rebound Vandy something like 46-30, and I think the Gators win.
I agree. Again, this is a game where it comes down to Florida's backcourt, which I know we've kind of. It's every time you talk about Florida, it's like, oh, the guard's going to play well, and if Flan keeps it going, maybe Lee knocks down some shots. I think this size up front is going to be too much for Vandy, as we just sort of saw in the Texas game. Now Vandy's been fine. Obviously, all year they played, and they destroyed St. Mary's, but St. Mary's was a different animal. Like I just think they had a very clear athletic and experience edge over the Gales, and that game was obviously played in November. But I do think I need to see Vandy prove it to me against other bigger physical teams before I think they're like truly in the top 5 tier. And I think this is a good test against Florida. And I don't think they pass it. I think Florida wins.
Yeah. Tough one. I'm very torn. I will not bet this game because I'll probably make it what it is. I do think this is the weakness of Vanderbilt is their front court, and that is Florida's greatest strength, maybe the greatest strength in the country on that end. So that's too big of an advantage to ignore. And with Flan playing the way he is, I think I do lean towards the Gators.
So here's a Vandy real quick. Sorry, Jim. VCU, St. Mary's, talked about that. SMU, Memphis, Wake Forest, South Carolina, Alabama, LSU, and then Texas. So I think there's a kind of a theme with
Texas beat
those
'em.
teams. Right.
Yeah.
And Texas, I think, has the biggest, like, true 5 of those.
Texas
teams.
out rebounded them 42-24.
It was not even, yeah. It was
If you're
not
getting
close.
mauled on the glass by Texas, I wish you luck against Florida. Now, the flip side is Florida's maybe biggest weakness is turning the ball over.
Yeah.
And Vandy, that's what they did to St. Mary's. Got them turned over and got a bunch of easy layups going the other way. So Florida's guards got to take care of it. But no, Frankie Collins does help because he is such a madman on the ball. Takes away one of those ball hawks. I think that is enough to get Florida the win on the road there. All right, BYU, Texas Tech. We've been talking about the Big 12. We need some big tests here. Texas Tech's depth still not really there, Kai. BYU, is this the Debansa national TV coming out party, or is it Christian Anderson, JT Toppin, and the boys taking care of the Cougars on the road?
Well, I'm going with my heart, Jim, and my heart is in Lubbock, Texas, a place I'd love to go see a game sometime. It's just a pain in the ass to get there. Yes, I think Texas Tech is where I'm going with this one. Huge home game, one of the best home court edges in the country. I like BYU. trust them less on the road. They've played two true road games this season. They were at Kansas State and Utah. Ho hum, ho hum. They get a real test against Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech's rebound ability, and I just think Toppin and Anderson are that good. So give me the Raiders.
Matthew, do you have a thought on the game?
Uh,
I feel like I surprised you by asking you.
Torn on this one. I just, yeah, I like Texas Tech here. I think I'm sort of putting my depth concerns to bed a little bit with them. Um,
They're at least getting a little more from Tyree Bryan recently. 15 minutes last two
Bryant,
games. Seems like he's
yeah,
re-engaged and he's not just shooting. Like maybe he's paying enough attention defensively. I think that was the big dig with him before.
as long as they have either Brian or Petty like cooking, and then the other is just giving some spot breather minutes, they're going to be okay, right? They just have, again, one of those dude gets hurt, then that's a whole other conversation. But as what they have right now, just keep this thing on the tracks. They're going to be good.
Yeah, I don't think BYU is a team that's like going to abuse a lack of depth inside. Like Texas Tech against Arizona, I'm very scared for them. But BYU, not quite the same juggernaut inside on the glass. All right,
Yeah.
next up, Miami at Clemson. Matthew, two undefeated ACC teams. Do we find out, are your Hurricane boys, are they for real? Or the Orange Tigers, who we tend to like a lot on the road, do they get a big win here?
I think this is Miami's game. I really do.
Ooh.
Clemson's been terrific, but the teams that they've beaten on the road have been, they got Syracuse before Freeman came back, and obviously we know Syracuse with Donnie Freeman is an entirely different team. Um, they beat Notre Dame. Great. Notre Dame's bad. They beat Pitt by 5. Yeah, I mean Pitt's just kind of one of those mushy ACC teams. We like Clemson. I think this is where Miami's just talent and experience starts to show up a little bit here. I mean, Clemson has experience, but they're trotting out some freshmen in key spots too. So we'll see if that matters. Maybe not.
I'm taking the Tigers, Jim. I'm taking the Tigers here at home in Little John. I think a very hard place to play, first of all, in the ACC, and definitely Miami's biggest test in a while. It's been a long time since they've had a game like this. No offense to Wake, but I think Clemson's ability to rebound and keep Miami at bay, which has been their strength this season, gives them that. And defend inside the paint, of course, too. Miami's been dominant inside. Give me Clemson.
Yeah, the defensive rebounding, Kai, that's what does it for me. Miami, top 15 in the country in offensive rebound rate. That's a huge part of their attack because they're not a great shooting team. First shot offense isn't very good. Clemson just completely takes that away. Always a Brad Brownell staple. They force those long possessions. They force you to take tough twos. I think that's a win for Clemson. I'll go against Matthias. And the last one to talk about here, St. John's, Villanova. There are plenty of other good games on Saturday, folks. We'll discuss them on our Best Bet show. But St. John's, Villanova, huge one for who is the second best team in the Big East, a title that's been passed around like a wrestling belt that nobody seems capable of holding on to. I still think St. John's is the best team, Matt, and I'm glad they're finally starting the correct lineup. Dylan Mitchell, Bryce Hopkins, Zuby, all together. A lot less Joes and Sannon. Villanova's rock solid. Probably not going to turn it over all that much. Even Devin Askew's playing well, but I think St. John's finds a way on the road.
This game is sorry, you said that
It's at the 76ers place. Yeah.
Yeah, which
what's
Villanova
it
has played
called
some
now?
home games at in history,
Yeah.
but it's at the Xfinity Mobile Center, not Wells
Now they
Fargo
changed the name.
anymore.
Now it used to be Wells Fargo. Okay. If it were at the Pavilion, I think I might go Nova. But I just think I'm with you, Jim. I'm backing on Johnny's. I haven't watched a ton, but from what I have seen, and I've kind of read to validate the playing Zuby more on the block and in the paints. I know that Patino was trying to kind of use him a little more like as a trigger man on the perimeter, to sort of quell the lack of point guard. They're just like, Zuby, go in the middle and do what you do, and we'll figure out the rest on the perimeter. We're just going to beat you with what we know how to do on the glass, with physicality, with defense, and with pressure. And I don't know how well, as good as Kay Lewis has been, Kai, how well he's going to hold up against that pressure.
Yeah.
He's been awesome so far, but that's kind of the test in this game. How well does Lewis play against like his first like welcome to the big boy, swarmed of defense blanket?
I think the pressure gives Villanova fits. Yeah, absolutely. And then I just don't think Villanova, they're not very big. They don't have a lot like Duke Brennan. He's
It's
very
Duke
much
and then
holding his own
yeah.
in so far
And
in major D1 basketball, but I don't think he holds a candle to Ejiofor or Johnny's overall size. So I think they have a big edge in the paint tomorrow.
yeah, St. John's on the offensive glass should be a
Yeah.
huge area of success for them. Brennan's going to be overwhelmed by the onslaught of multiple different guys coming after the boards
Yeah,
there.
I think Brennan like 1v1 is just like he's like awesome, but I just don't think that St. John's has an army. And you're right, Novit's really just Brennan. I mean, he's kind of the one man band up there.
Yep. All right, that is it. Kai, do we have any reviews? Let's go to that portion of the pod.
Yeah, no reviews, but a question about from a Cincy fan on the YouTube channel asking, "Hey, who would you choose to replace Wes Miller?" They're done.
Just
with
get
Wes
Calhoun.
Miller.
Go
Calhoun?
get Calhoun.
Jared Calhoun.
He's a
That's
Cincinnati grad. Why not?
I agree. That seems
Or,
like
or
the pick.
Hard agree.
if you can somehow pry Mick Cronin away from his giant buyout
Yeah,
and convince
or
him to
Cronin
come
back
back
to
home,
his-
why
yeah.
not?
Maybe.
But
I don't think there's
Calhoun
a.
makes a lot of sense.
I think there's a non-zero chance that Cronin would consider a return to the Midwest. I don't think that's a far-fetched proposition.
It's,
We'll
I
see
think
what-
it's just like, I forget who wrote it. Maybe it was somebody in the Discord about the financial viability of him leaving. I think it's a pretty high
Okay.
bar,
Yeah.
the buyout. But I mean, you've got a guy in Calhoun that has a top 25 team at Utah State, which is even higher than like Sprinkle got them or Craig Smith got them. And he went to, or he started his student assistantship in Cincinnati. He's from there. Like, why
I
not?
believe a Huggins guy too, right?
Huggins guy, yeah, through and
Yep.
through.
Yeah, so
Yep.
that's freaky. Yeah, Calhoun.
Makes sense to me. All right, that is it. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Shout out to the chat. A lot of good chatter in there this morning. It is a Friday morning. Have a great long weekend, holiday weekend. Kai, I won't say good luck to your Bears, but I hope you have fun watching them.
Thanks, Jim.
I will be up north in the far reaches of Wisconsin, trying to freeze away my sadness with an annual Martin Luther King Day trip with pals. So that's where I'll be broadcasting from tomorrow on Saturday. Look forward to seeing you all there on YouTube. Enjoy the weekend.